family. Vicki Dillard here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much, family. You solidify and strengthen our collective Black voice when you share our broadcast and you check out our website and our app and so forth. So for that, we want to say thank you so very much. Family, I of course, have been discussing some of the inner workings of our government here in the United States, some of her activities, primarily covert activities that tend to take place around the world. Sometimes we're too busy living our own lives, focusing on the cares of life, taking care of our families, our loved ones, ourselves, our health, to really pay attention. And it is quite overwhelming because the average person wouldn't believe for one moment that someone would be so dedicated to being the ruler of the entire world, a true imperialist in a covert and subtle way, but extraordinarily effectively devastating in more ways than one. I was listening to quite a lengthy hearing from from an arm of the U.S. Department of State, known as the GEC, the Global Engagement Center. They're discussing funding, their budgets and so forth, and they have to have these discussions before Congress. I want you to listen to a little bit of this excerpt from the hearing, a little bit of this exchange that took place between a congressman and one of the directors of this organization. Watch this.
Policies are intrinsically linked in an effort to try and go ahead and stop the expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative, which its entire intent is the Eurasian expansion, the domination of Africa, and to cut off Western Hemisphere supply chain from the Horn of Africa, Mediterranean, Red Sea, Black Sea, Persian Gulf to control those elements, utilize the WHO and the WEF and OPEC to attack the petrodollar and the U.S. dollar as the global currency, while simultaneously utilizing their propaganda and misinformation campaigns in our own hemisphere to go after economic coercion and
seek to paint us as the villain in every situation, that seek to entirely misrepresent everything we stand for and everything they're doing. So, for example, on the Belt and Road Initiative, which the PRC presents as an economic boon to the partners, Global Engagement Center has supported work that shows definitively that the projects that they are funding are not what they're cracked up to be. We've translated that work into local languages. We've done it to make the case with decision-making elites to try to shape the environment in a direction that is accurate, that is true, and that is less conducive to the PRC.
Wow, family. I want you to listen to this. The Global Engagement Center, again, this is under the U.S. Department of State on the government website. Their mission is, listen, to direct, lead, synchronize, integrate, coordinate U.S. federal government efforts to recognize, understand, expose, and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts aimed at undermining or influencing the policies, security, or stability of the United States, its allies, and partner nations. This is a propaganda wing of the United States, essentially. That's how I'm describing it in layman's terms. You heard the congressman specifically say that China's Belt and Road Initiative, in part, is meant to dominate Africa. Family, you have been hearing all types of propaganda about China's loans being debt traps. And the people that you hear talking about that phrase the most is the United States and other white nations. Now, we both know that the WTO, the IMF, and other such financial trade institutions and entities have certainly robbed the African continent. How many times have you ever heard of the United States or the West calling themselves out for its utter theft and modern economic slavery of the continent of Africa. This is not to absolve China of any and all possible wrongdoing. You all know we do coverage here, but I believe it's important to make a distinction between official policies that are pushed by the nation of China, the country of China, versus individual Chinese people and individual Chinese entities and businesses, which we, as you know, we give them that work when they're out of line. This is not a defense of China as a country or a nation. I'm simply saying that anytime you have European countries and the United States and the West and others sitting here pointing fingers to China working with melanated countries, you got to scratch your head and say, wait a minute. Where have you been concerning the robbing of these other banking institutions of our countries? Where have you been with the Sahel kicking out France because of its economic theft of even today half of their resources that they have to put in their reserves? Where was all of this criticism and self-reflection? It did not exist. So that ought to tell you, pay attention. They are concerned about the alliances that the global South is making that does not involve the United States. And it is not their doing. The African continent, the global South, which of course includes South American countries and so forth, some of our Caribbean brothers and sisters in the islands and so forth, these countries have been suffering for many decades under crippling sanctions by the United States and the West. They just want you to keep taking it. And God forbid you figure out a way to make an alliance with others that will help remove you from such poverty and crippling sanctions that was imposed on them so that they can continue to control you. Pay attention anytime you see white Western countries complain about China when they have all of these predatory and exploitative banking and economic and financial institutions that have been doing the continent dirty for so long. So that's number one. Did you notice that he's talking about that they intentionally set up propaganda specifically concerning the Belt and Road Initiative in China? And as you heard within the context of the congressman, he specifically said that they're trying to dominate Africa. Since when has America cared about what's going on in Africa? America was refusing to even have any substantive engagement with Africa. America has been focused on telling y'all having culture wars and telling you all to stop banning LGBTQ in public, while other countries are coming there talking about business and trade. And now that America sees the writing on the wall, she is freaking out like a person that's drowning. And as they say, a person that's drowning is one of the most dangerous people when you go to save them, because of their desperate desire to save themselves. They may unintentionally pull you down with them. But I will say to you that America is knowingly, and her Western allies are trying to pull everybody down with her. We bring these things up with the prayer that America would course correct. But she, like Pharaoh, seems to only double down and harden her heart, hastening her doom. Africa, beware. Other countries, which are many, my understanding is a recent meeting that took place in China. I believe it was close to 115 nations that attended concerning the new Belt and Road Initiative. They're going to be making some changes. Of course, there were some problems there, but for the most part, the United States and the West are freaking out because of this trade and this trade route that has the potential to ship-shape the world and to absolutely change the balance of things. You would think that would be an okay and a good thing for everybody. when you want to dominate everybody, when you want to control everybody, when you want to be the world's police, when you want to use your near 1,000 bases and installation around the world to pull out the guns to control your resources, steal your energy resources and minerals, manipulate your political leaders, then of course you're going to think this is devastating. But that's just too bad, because there's an unseen government that's at work, spiritual government that's at work in the world, in the governments of the world. In fact, that there's an ancient text that says the Most High sits up there and laugh while they take counsel together. Can I tell you that I've had the privilege of having a sneak peek into one of those councils? And I'm going to be talking about some of those very things and some of the sacred secrets of our royal bloodline, and that there's an unseen council that's at work, that's setting certain agendas that's taking place on earth, and how you can get involved in it. Yes, you, those that they've labeled, those that consider to be the poor, the deaf, the dumb, and the blind. That's how certain sacred texts describe the unwitting. Do you know that you can be chosen for the next world rulers? I want to let you know what you can do. Me and my brother Rod Hayes, who's a mystic, we're going to be breaking down some of the ancient sacred rites that belong to you that we can begin to implement so that we can prepare ourselves to be the new world rulers on earth as it is in the heaven. This is going to take place on Sunday, November 12th. Be sure to go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VickiPlanet.com, VICKI Planet.com. I can't wait to see you there.